When we know that if we press save, which is either there's the save there or the save down here, it saves it to the cloud. And I think I've mentioned before that I like to keep all my files on my hard drive as well. And normally what I would do if I was saving this design, I would go up to the drop down box here, go to export and export it as a F3D file to whatever directory I wanted to save it into. But I came across something last week really, more by chance than anything else. I found now Fusion has put a one of these OTP verifiers on when you log on sometimes. And I only found it by chance because I wanted to log on and change my email address on my account. And I found I couldn't do it because every time I went there, it wanted to verify by sending me an email to the old email address, which was fine because the old email address was still current. But it wouldn't do it. And I couldn't work out why. It just never sent an email to me. So I went onto the laptop and installed a new copy of Fusion and found that doing the same process there, it worked fine. So I don't know whether it's because on my desktop I'd loaded it all in before they brought in this OTP thing, which I gather was several months ago. But I ended up uninstalling Fusion from my desktop and reinstalling it again. Which incidentally, for those, and I think this question's been asked, there is no personal installation. You install the full trial, and the trial is, it will come up on the top of your screen as you see on this one now. Trial ends in 22 days. And what happens after you've installed the version, it will come up with a trial, I think it was 35 days or something. At the end of that period, it will automatically go to a personal copy. I think the reason for this obviously is by giving you the trial, you get to see all the bits that they take off you when it goes to personal to try and encourage you to buy it. Well, I'm not going to be encouraged to buy it. But in doing so, I found out a few things, excuse me, about the filing system. One thing that I did, I got them in a bit of a, so as I said, normally I would go file, export, and export the file. Now, I think I've covered it in the past where I've done library parts, and you can see what I've got here is I've got a drawing of the door panel, and I've added in a blank panel, which is a library part. And you can't, what happens then when you come down and you export that, it automatically wants to export it as an F3Z, and it won't export it until you've saved it to the cloud. So if I was to go up and save that to the cloud, it doesn't matter what we save it as, then when I come down and export it, it will allow you to export the F3Z file to my hard disk. Now the F3Z file, you can't look at it with zip, but it's like a zip file. And what it does, it exports the file itself, which is this door panel, and the layout. It exports this individual file, which I've imported in as a library part, and all the various things associated with this file is exported into that F3Z package. So if I was to have a drawing up with multiple library parts in it, if I then saved it as an F3Z and emailed it to somebody, they would get all the parts they need for that file. Whereas if I'd have saved it as an F3D, all it would have done was to save the actual file, which is say the door, and it would have saved this information. But of course, the user then wouldn't have this file on his system. So if you've got a file consisting of library parts, and you want to pass it on, then it needs to be F3Z. But before you can export it as an F3Z, all those that composite drawing, as it were, needs to be saved to the cloud first. So hopefully that's maybe clarified up that saving bit. Now the other bit I had a problem was every time I wanted to save it, I want to save it to my hard drive, and this was getting tiresome because you're going in there and export it. But I picked up a completely different way, and I'll try and explain this as best I can. But you may or may not know that Fusion does an offline cache. So if you go into offline mode, which you can do up this top here, let's put let me put, if I got that one up there, if you can see it, and you click on that, that allows you to go into offline mode. And when you go into offline mode, you'll find all your files are still here because they're actually on your computer anyway. We think they're all in the cloud, but they're not. They're in the cloud and on your computer. And then when you work offline on one of these files in here and you save it, it saves it to your computer, and it will then update the cloud next time you go online. So I thought, right, I've got to find out where these are now, because that saves me copying to my computer, doubling the work. So I found where they were. Let me bring this, let me get swap screens. Hopefully now you've got a file directory. Now this is with a PC running Windows. I'm not sure about Apple, I must be honest. But if you go into your users directory and your own user, and then you come down to the app data and the local, and then you come down to Autodesk, and then you go Fusion 360, and then you'll have a directory of that nature. It'll be a series of random letters, and it's in there we're going, and what we're looking for is the wlogin file. Now the login file, F, contains all the files that are in the cache. And as you save a file, it automatically goes into the cache. You don't have to put it there. And it saves three things. It saves the XX file, which you can see over here on the right, which is, I haven't bothered to go through it. It's obviously instructions that Fusion want on how to handle a file. It saves a PNG file, which is very useful. And it saves the F3D file. So you can immediately see all the files on there quite nicely, actually. Now, I thought, okay, so they're all saved there, but blimey, what a way to find them. So what I did, and I'll come back to the other ones in a moment, what I did therefore was to go up here and do a shortcut in my quick access to the F directory, which then shows me all the files. And these F3Ds can all be loaded into Fusion. The only thing is, it doesn't give you the directory structure. It just does all the files. The directory structure that each one of these is held in this XX file over here. Going back to this little thing, it is quite interesting. I haven't worked out what the X is for yet. And I haven't quite worked out what the M2 is yet. But the Q is an interesting one, because the Q directory holds any files that you've created or worked upon while you're offline. And when you go back online, Fusion automatically looks in the Q directory and uploads them to the cloud, and also moves them into the F directory. So the Q directory shouldn't really have nothing in it unless you are working offline. Now, the fact that all your files are here, there is some information around that there is a limit on the file cache before it starts to cycle round and old ones are dropped off, but I haven't found any information on it yet. And it's certainly, as you can see on mine, I got 280 divided by 3, so there's a good 100 files on there. Now it means that they're all there and you can work offline with them. With working offline, there is one caveat with that, is that you have to go on and it has to be able to make connection with the Fusion Autodesk servers every 2 weeks. If you don't, it won't start up. So if you go over the 2 weeks, then you've got to get back online and log in. That's basically all I want to say, apart from taking any questions if there are any, because what it's shown me now is that I know when I've done a drawing, I no longer have to go into export because they're automatically saved. Now what's I want to automatically save a drawing of this nature? Well, it's saved as untitled, so hopefully it's going to be this bottom one down here. And if you right click on it, you've got one down here. Where's it gone? I've lost it. You can add it to the offline cache yourself. But I find it's better just to archive it, because then you can actually say where it's going to be archived to.